right, so order of operations. So a lot of you may be familiar with PEMDAS. I prefer talking about GEMDAS. The only difference is that first letter, grouping. Most of the time when we think of grouping, we do think of parentheses, which is where you would hear PEMDAS, but there are other types of groupings that we can have other than just parentheses. So that's why I have the G for grouping. But if you want to just think of it as parentheses, you can think of it as PEMDAS. Most of the grouping you will see will involve parentheses. So that is fine as well. But yes, with the order of operations, we've got grouping. Then we've got exponents. Exponents includes square roots. Then we've got multiplication and division, which are equal in order, so we can do either one first. Then we've got addition and subtraction, and again, we can do either one of those first. So let's go ahead and run through one of these to see what it looks like. And we're going to run through the one that you should have on your sheet. -2 plus 5 times 2 squared, all in those parentheses. And then that is all going to be divided. Let's get our long division sign here. Divided by 3. So, first of all, we look at this and we think groupings. So that's the first order. We go in order here. Very first one, we're going to be doing the groupings. So that means that for the start of this, we can ignore this bottom part, the divided by 3, completely, and we can just focus on this group up here. So let's put this down a little bit. We'll ignore that for now. We're just looking up here, and then we look in here. So the first thing we look for, are there any other groups? So inside of this group, are there any other groups? And I don't see any other groups. So that means we can go straight on to the next part, which is going to be exponents. Are there any exponents in here? Oh, there's one exponent in here. Remember, exponents are those little numbers that go above the big numbers, above and to the right. So if we see those numbers, that's going to be an exponent. We also call that power. And if it's a power of 2, we can also call that squared. So we can call this 2 to the power of 2, 2 squared, or 2 with an exponent of 2. All of those mean the exact same thing. But the way that we solve this, 2 squared, this tells us how many times we multiply 2 by itself. So we multiply 2 by itself twice. 2 times 2 is just going to be equal to 4. So we can replace this 2 squared with a 4, and that'll allow us to solve that first exponents piece of this group. So that 2 squared turned into a 4. Well, now we can look and say, okay, we already checked for groupings up here. Are there any more exponents though? And I don't see any little numbers above these. So that means we can go on to multiplication and division. Is there any multiplication and division here? Well, yep, I see one multiplication sign. So next we'll do multiplication. We've got 5 times 4. So 5 times 4, that should give us 20. So we take that 20 and we replace it with, we take the 20 and we replace the 5 times the 4. So the 5 times 4 goes away, the 20 goes in its place. So already this is looking a lot simpler. We're working this one out. The next part of this, we've got negative 2 plus 20, so let's check. Is there any multiplication or division left? I don't see any left. So we're going to move on to addition and subtraction. So I do see some addition here. So negative 2 plus 20. So we're going to use that same strategy we used before. We're going to leave off the negative for now and say, okay, well, what is 20 minus 2? So 20 minus 2 is going to be 18. So we start with the bigger number, we subtract off the smaller number. So 20 minus 2 is 18. But then is this going to be a positive 18 or a negative 18? So which is bigger up here? The negative number or the positive number? Is negative 2 bigger or is positive 20 bigger? So because the positive number is bigger, that means that this 18 is going to be positive. So we can swap out this whole thing, negative 2 plus 20, with this 18. And it is a positive 18 because we had that positive 20. Now at this point, there are no more operations within this group. So that means that we can get rid of this grouping. Now that we're done with that grouping, we can take a look at what is outside of the grouping again. So now we have got a positive 18 that is divided by 3. So positive 18 divided by 3. Another way of talking about this sort of division, if it helps you, is we can think of a positive 18 divided by 3 as being the exact same thing as saying 3 times what is going to equal 3 times what is going to equal 18. So 3 times what is going to equal 18. And if we think about counting by threes, well, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. 3 times 6 is going to give us 18. So because 6 is the answer we would fill in here, 18 divided by 3 is also going to be 6. So that means that this entire expression is going to be equal to 6. So our final answer, after simplifying this whole expression down with the order of operations, we should get the answer of 6 as our final answer. So we'll definitely be doing a lot more order of operations problems. And then once we introduce variables, things are going to get a little bit trickier. But for now, just make sure you follow that order: grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and you should be good with order of operations.